AI SEO content not indexing? Do this now. You're creating tons of AI content right now. But is Google actually seeing any of it? What if your best articles are sitting invisible on the internet right now? Nobody's talking about this problem. And the more content you create, the worse it's about to get. Stick with me because I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. Hey, I'm the digital avatar of Zoe. I help people learn how to actually use AI tools in their work, not just talk about them. And today, I'm opening up the exact system I use to solve one of the biggest problems in AI SEO right now, all built on top of my Agent OS. By the end of this video, you'll know why your content isn't showing up on Google, and you'll know the Agent OS workflow that gets it indexed and ranking fast. Let's get into it. Here's the problem nobody warns you about. When you start creating content with AI, you can produce a lot of it. You're posting on Twitter, you're posting on LinkedIn, you're publishing on your website. And because AI makes it so easy to create content at scale, you end up with a huge volume of pages, posts, and articles. But here's the catch. Just because you published it doesn't mean Google found it. A huge amount of AI-generated content never gets crawled, never gets indexed, and never shows up in search at all. You could be creating great content and getting zero results from it, simply because Google hasn't seen it yet. So how do you actually fix that? This is where indexing tools come in, and it's exactly why I built this into my Agent OS. I use a tool called Indexional, and it's become one of my favorite tools for solving this exact problem. What it does is simple. You submit your URLs, and it works to get that content indexed on Google quickly. That matters most when you're targeting trending topics, or when you're working with a newer website that Google hasn't fully trusted yet. Instead of waiting around and hoping Google eventually crawls your page, you're actively pushing it to get seen. Now, you can use Indexional on its own, just going to the platform and submitting your links directly. But that's not how I use it day to day. I plug it directly into my Agent OS, so the whole thing runs as part of my content workflow instead of being a separate manual step. I research keywords I want to rank for using Google Search Console data, plug that keyword along with a case study into my Agent OS, and it deploys the content straight to my websites. I don't need to log into WordPress to publish it, and I don't need to log into Indexional to submit the URL either. It's built in as a skill inside Agent OS, so the content gets created and indexed automatically without me touching either platform by hand. I actually tested this exact setup myself, running Indexional inside my Agent OS. The moment an article goes live on my site, it's already in the queue to get indexed, instead of sitting there waiting. That single change turns indexing from a chore into something that just happens in the background while I focus on the content itself. Let me show you why this actually matters, because I've got real proof this works. I created a piece of content around the keyword Hermes desktop installation. That's a trending topic, which means timing matters. If you're too slow to get indexed, the trend moves on without you. With this workflow, that content was created and indexed quickly, and when I searched that keyword on Google, it was already ranking on the first page, not eventually. Fast. And it goes further than that. I've got a piece of content that was created only 2 days before I checked on it, and it was already indexed and ranking on the first page of Google. On top of that, it was showing up inside Google AI Overviews too, and it was ranking in the #1 mention spot. That's not just regular search visibility, that's showing up in the AI-generated summaries that more and more people are relying on before they even click a link. In fact, for that same keyword, I had 3 separate pieces of content ranking on the first page of Google at the same time. That's the kind of result that comes from having research, content, and indexing all running through one Agent OS instead of scattered across separate tools. Now, if you're wondering how to actually connect a tool like this into your own workflow, here's the part that makes it repeatable. Indexional has full API documentation available. What I do is take that documentation along with my API key and give it to Claude. I tell Claude that every time I create a piece of content, it should use my API key and the documentation to index that content automatically, and I save that entire process as a skill. Once it's saved, I'm not re-explaining the workflow every time. Claude already knows what to do, and it applies the same indexing step to every new piece of content going forward. If you're sitting there thinking about how this workflow would actually apply to your own website, that's exactly what I map out one-on-one with people. In a one-to-one strategy session, we sit down and look at your specific site, your specific keywords, and your specific content gaps, and we build out how a workflow like this fits your situation. It's not a course, and it's not a group call. It's a direct session focused on your business, so you leave knowing exactly what to set up and in what order. If that sounds useful, the link is in the comments and description. Let's zoom out for a second, because indexing on its own isn't the whole picture. Inside my Agent OS, that Search Console research feeds a full content pipeline. It shows you your clicks, your impressions, a score based on the potential of each keyword, your average click-through rate, and your average position, built from your own site's data instead of a generic tool sharing numbers across thousands of other websites. From there, you select a keyword, plug in a relevant case study, and generate a batch of articles in one go. Those articles deploy straight to your website, and because indexing is already wired in, they move through research, create, deploy, index, as one connected system instead of 4 separate manual steps. That's the whole point of Agent OS. It's not a bunch of separate tools you're switching between, it's one system doing the work end to end. Here's something worth thinking about long term. I was talking with James Dooley about this on our SEO podcast recently, and we both agree this is only going to become a bigger issue. As content creation gets easier and faster because of AI, the amount of content being published across the internet keeps climbing. Google can't crawl every single piece of content that gets created. There's simply too much of it. So the sites that win aren't necessarily the ones creating the most content. They're the ones with a reliable system that actively gets their content seen instead of hoping it eventually gets noticed. Having a proper indexing system in place, one that runs through an API instead of requiring you to manually click through dashboards, is what keeps you ahead of that shift instead of falling behind it. If you want the full process laid out step by step, I've put together a complete SEO course with over 260 lessons. It walks you through everything from the basics to advanced AI SEO workflows. Links in the comments and description. If you want to go further and actually get this running for yourself, the full Agent OS zip file, including this exact workflow that connects Indexional to your content pipeline, is ready to install inside the AI Profit Boardroom, along with a complete 30-day roadmap that walks you through building it out step by step. You'll also find the SEO content pipeline I walked through, the video agent for creating and ranking video content, and a memory system that keeps context on your business, so the content it creates actually understands what you do. New tools get added as they come out too, so the system keeps evolving. If you're thinking about how AI SEO fits into your own content strategy, this was built for exactly that. And if you'd rather skip the trial and error completely, that's what the one-to-one strategy session is for. As you start applying a workflow like this, you're going to run into questions specific to your own site, your own niche, and your own technical setup. A one-on-one session means you're not guessing your way through it alone. We build a plan around your business, your keywords, and your content gaps, so you move faster and skip the mistakes that slow most people down. Link in the comment and description below.